Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, class. For the A class, I think I couldn't come into the classroom because I have meeting for accreditation. One of the program in Institut Pendidikan Indonesia, it's PKN. So I'm going to give you the video explanation. Maybe for other class like the B class or the C class, I could come to the classroom. But if I cannot make it, so I'm going to share this video explanation also. So today's meeting, my material that I would like to discuss with you is about nasal and other consonants. And as we have known that the nasals is the sound produced by the air escapes from the nose, yeah, because we have two cavity in our organ of speech. There is a oral cavity and nasal cavity. So if we take a look to the previous materials, when we talk about nasal, so we talk about the sound or the the syllable that comes from the nose, yeah. And we also in we also have some discussion from our previous meeting for implosive and also fricatives, and like we have known that there are several sound that produce for the plosive and fricatives, but for fricates it's only ch and j, yeah, like this one. And all of the sound total is 17. They remain the nasal consonant like m, n, ng, yeah. And for others like l, r, w, y. These four are not easy to fit into groups. All of these seven consonants are continuants and usually have no friction noise, but in other ways they are very different from each other. So from this information, we have known that nasal consonant, there are seven nasal consonants that we are going to discuss in this book. The sound is m, n, ng, and l, r, w, y. Yeah, okay. So now let's go to this point. Nasal. The basic characteristic of nasal consonant is that the air escapes through the nose. That's a basic important theory that you can also explain when we have a test, when we have a mid test, or when we have a final test. When I ask you a question, uh, please explain in a brief what is the nasal consonant. So you can explain that nasal consonant is the consonant that produced by the air escapes through the nose. For this to happen, the subpalate must be lowered. In the case of all the other consonants vowel of English, the subpalate is raised and air cannot pass through the nose. So the other another difference between oral cavity and nasal cavity sound produced is when we have oral cavity sounds produced by our mouth is the position of soppalate, it's raised, yeah, and so the air cannot pass through the nose. But in nasal's way, the air escapes through the nose, so the soppalate position is must be lowered. In nasal consonants, however, air does not pass through the mouth. It's prevented by a complete closure in the mouth at some point. So when we produce m, n, ng, l, r, w, y, the sound produced by the nasal cavity, and the air is kept through the nasal cavity, not through the oral cavity. If you produce a long sequence, the n, the n, the n, blah blah blah, without moving your tongue from the position for alveolar closure, you will feel your soppalate moving up and down. Yeah, if you practice the n, the n, the n, so you can feel that your soppalate is up and down. Up for the air is kept through the mouth, and down for the air is kept through the nose. The three types of closure are bilabial, alveolar, and velar. Yeah. So the set of places produces three nasal consonants. So m, n, ng are the nasal consonants that produce from the closer organ of speech, bilabial, alveolar, and velar, which correspond to the three places of articulation for the pairs of plosive b, b, d, d, g, g. For the other consonant that produced by the oral cavity is b, b, d, d, g, g. Oke, jadi intinya adalah nasal sound itu atau nasal consonant itu adalah suara konsonan yang dihasilkan oleh hidung. Dan perbedaan yang signifikan lainnya yang membedakan antara oral cavity dan juga nasal cavity adalah kalau ketika kita memproduce oral consonant vowels melalui oral cavity, maka si soft plate-nya itu di up-kan ya, otomatis si udara itu keluarnya lewat mulut. Sedangkan ketika kita memproduce sounds of consonant from nasal, itu si soft plate-nya itu direndahkan, jadi air itu udara itu keluarnya lewat hidung. Dan ada 7 konsonan dari nasal ini yang akan dipelajari dalam poin ini yaitu menenge, kemudian leh, reh, weh, yeh gitu ya. Nah, ketika kita mau misalkan mau bereksperimen apa sih yang membedakan oral cavity sama nasal cavity, maka suarakanlah behneh. Ketika kita mengeluarkan suara beh, deh ya, deh, maka si udara itu keluar lewat mulut. Sedangkan ketika kita menyuarakan suara neh, itu udara keluar lewat hidung. Nah, kemudian ketika kita berbicara meh, neh, ngeh, gitu ya, itu ada 3 organ of speech yang berhubungan dengan nasal ya, nasal cavity, yaitu bilabial, alveolar, dan juga velar. Okay, and the consonant mahna are simple and straightforward with distribution quite similar to those of the plosive. There is in fact little to describe, however, nge is a different matter. Jadi kalau mahna itu masuknya ke plosive, sedangkan nge itu dia berbeda. It is a sound that gives considerable problems to foreign learners and one that is so unusual in its phonological aspect that some people argue that it's not one of the phonemes of English at all. Nah, katanya ngeh ini merupakan bentuk yang sulit katanya ya, di, 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 ditentukan gitu ya. Sedangkan kalau meneh itu dia masuknya ke plosif katanya. Sedangkan kalau ngeh itu dia apa sulit untuk ditentukan katanya di sini. Kemudian nah, di sini disebutkan the place of articulation of nge is the same as that of ke ge katanya gitu. Sama seperti kita memproduksi ke ge ya. Jadi dia soft ya, velar consonant. It's a useful exercise to practice making a continuous nge sound. If you do this, it is very important not to produce ke or ge at the end. Pronounce the nge like me or ne. Jadi jangan sampai ketukar dengan kegeh katanya gitu ya. Untuk bagaimana kita menggerakkan organ of speech-nya. Ya kalau kegeh itu kan velar consonant ya, dia diproduksi dari sophilate ya, termasuk pada oral cavity, otomatis udara yang keluarnya itu lewat mulut. Sedangkan kalau ngeh itu dia menggunakan sophilate juga kayaknya ya. Dia ngeh sophilate-nya terasa gitu ya. Tetapi udara yang keluarnya lewat hidung, otomatis dia masuknya ke nasals. We will now look at some ways in which the distribution of nge is unusual katanya. Yang pertama, in initial position we find mehne occurring freely, but nge never occurs in this position. Jadi initial, medially, dan ya initial dan medially itu ketika kita melihat distribusi dari nge ini, gitu ya. Di initial position katanya di awal gitu ya, di posisi awal itu neh itu banyak katanya, tapi kalau ngeh itu never occurs with the possible exception of c This makes nge the only English consonant that does not occur initially. Jadi nge itu jarang ada di awal untuk bahasa Inggris. Tapi kalau meh itu banyak. Medially, jadi biasanya di tengah. Yang nge occurs quite frequently, but there is in the BBC accent a rather complex and quite interesting rule concerning the question of when nge may be pronounced without a following plosive. When we find the letters ng and when we find the letters nk in the middle of the word, it is a orthographic form. A k will always be pronounced. A k will always be pronounced. However, some words with orthographic ng, yeah, gitu ya. In the middle, we will have a pronunciation containing ng, and others will have ng without g. For example, in the British pronunciation, we find the following finger, ya. Jadi biasanya kalau ngeh itu dia ditempatkannya itu di tengah, tidak ada yang ditempatkannya di awal. Itu yang pertama. Yang kedua, ketika dia ditempatkannya in medial, ya, medial position di tengah, maka kemungkinan itu ada yang dibaca dengan ge seperti singa, singa, singa gitu ya. Enge itu kan nge dengan ge, enge. Ada juga yang di disuarakannya itu tanpa ada gehnya, jadi singa, henge, gitu ya, seperti itu. Jadi enggak henge, enggak singe, enggak, tapi singe, henge, gitu ya. Tetapi kalau yang pronoun sebelumnya itu finger, ada gehnya, enge, gitu. In the words of column A, the ng is followed by G, yeah, while the words of column B have no G, have no g, yeah. What is the difference between A and B? The important difference is in the way the words are constructed, ya. Jadi ini perbedaannya dari bagaimana si katanya itu terkonstruksi, terbuat gitu ya. Dalam hal morfologinya. The words of column B can be divided into two grammatical pieces. Jadi, kata yang ada di kolom B itu bisa dibagi menjadi dua bentuk grammar. Sing dan nger gitu ya. Singer, hang dan nger. Jadi hanger. These pieces are called morphemes. Ya, jadi dua bentuk ini disebutnya morpheme. And we say that column B words are morphologically different from column A. Dan kita bisa simpulkan bahwa kolom B itu dia berbeda morfologinya, dia berbeda morfemnya dari kolom A. Since this cannot be divided into two morphem. Karena finger dan anger itu nggak bisa dibagi menjadi dua morfem. Kalau singer itu kan penyanyi dari kata sing, ya. Jadi orangnya jadi singer. Tetapi hang juga sama, hanger. Jadi dari hang kemudian ada apa hang itu kata kerja, kemudian nge itu apa morfemnya yang lain gitu ya, hanger. Tapi kalau finger itu nggak ada fing bukan kata kerja, dia satu kata dia finger itu kan satu kata jari gitu ya. Anger ya itu juga satu kata adjektif, marah gitu ya. Nah, jadi itu yang dimaksud dengan morfologinya. Jadi kalau yang terdiri dari dua morfem, artinya ada kata kerjanya, kemudian ada apa akhirannya, gitu ya. Maka dia akan dibacanya itu ada gehnya, apa tidak ada gehnya. Sedangkan kalau dia satu kata, ya baik itu kata benda, kata sifat, maka dia itu ada gehnya seperti finger, anger, tapi kalau singe, henge itu tidak ada ge. Seperti itu ya. Jadi itu bisa ada apa morfemnya, ada rumusnya kalau untuk bentuk ngeh ini. We can summarize the position so far by saying that within a word containing the letters nge in the spelling, nge occurs without a following G if it occurs at the end of morpheme. If it occurs in the middle of morpheme, it has a following G. Jadi kalau misalkan tadi kan ya supaya tidak pusing lagi, yang penting mah tadi ya morfologinya tadi ya, morfologi constructionnya. Let us now look at the ends of the words ending or orthographically with nge. We find that this always end with nge. This nge is never followed by g. Biasanya kalau di akhir itu tidak ada suara J-nya katanya. Thus we find that the word sing and hang are pronounced as sing and hang. Karena dia awalnya itu kan ketika dibagi itu kan ada kata sing dan juga ada kata hang. To give a few more examples, song, bang, and long. We do not need a spirit explanation for this. The rule given above that no G is pronounced after ng at the end of a morpheme works in these cases too, since the end of a word must also be the end must also be the end of a morpheme. If this point seem difficult, think of the comparable case of sentences and words. A sound or letter that comes at the end of a sentence must necessarily also come at the end of a word, so that the final K of the sentence, this is a book, is also the final K of the word book, gitu ya. Oke, jadi intinya supaya tidak bingung, supaya tidak kemana-mana. Jadi untuk suara ngeh ini, tadi patokannya ke morphological construction. Kalau dia terdiri dari dua morfem, seperti tadi ya, sing dan akhiran gitu ya. Jadi sing itu tanpa ada g. Tapi kalau dia satu kata gitu ya, kayak misalkan finger, finger, maka dia itu ada g-nya. Anger itu kan satu kata ya. Jadi tidak ada pembagian semuanya, maka dia ada g-nya. Oke. Nah, di sini nih. Unfortunately, rules often have exceptions. Nah, balik lagi. Eh, Ternyata rules, aturan yang seperti tadi itu ada pengecualian katanya. The main exception to the above morpheme-based rule concern the comparative and superlative suffix er and s. According to the rule given above, the adjective long will be pronounced long, which is correct. It will also predict correctly that if we add another morpheme to long, such as suffix ish, the pronunciation of the ng would again be without a following g. However, it would additionally predict that the comparative and superlative forms longer and longest will be pronounced with no g following the ng, while in fact the correct pronunciation of the word is longest. Jadi kalau misalkan jadi ada exceptionnya, ada pengecualiannya. Jadi kalau untuk bentuk komparatif dan superlatif, meskipun dia terdiri dari dua morfem, maka dia akan dibacanya ada g-nya. Gitu ya. Okay, as a result of this, the rule must be modified. It must state that comparative and superlative forms of adjective are to be treated as a single morphem words for the purpose of this rule. It is important to remember that English speakers in general, apart from those trained in phonetics, are quite ignorant of this rule. And yet, if a foreigner uses the wrong pronunciation, in other words, pronounce ng where ng should occur or ng where ng should be used, then notice that a mispronunciation has occurred. A third way in which the distribution of ng is unusual is the small number of vowels it is found to follow. It rarely occurs after a diphthong or long vowels. Jadi setelah diphthong atau long vowels biasanya. So only the short vowels e, a, u, yeah, are regularly found preceding this consonant. The velar nasal consonant ng is, in summary, phonetically simple. It is no more difficult to produce than m or n, but phonologically complex. It is, as we have seen, not easy to describe the context in which it occurs. Jadi intinya adalah ng itu kalau selain komparatif dan superlatif, maka dibacanya dia ngeh ya tanpa ada geh-nya. Kalau dia masuk komparatif superlatif, maka ada geh-nya. Longest, longer, gitu ya. Sedangkan kalau yang terdiri satu kata, tidak ada pembagian dalam morphological construction-nya, maka dibacanya ada geh-nya. Seperti finger, tadi anger, gitu ya. Seperti itu. Oke. The consonant L, ya, long, hill, is a lateral approximant. This is a consonant in which the passage of air through the mouth does not go in the usual way along the center of the tongue, ya. Jadi di sini disebutkan bahwa leh ini termasuk kepada lateral approximant, yaitu konsonan yang the passage of air through the mouth does not go in the usual way along the center of the tongue. Jadi tidak uh, tidak melalui center of the tongue, ya, bagian tengahnya. Instead, there is complete closure between the center of the tongue and the part of the roof of the mouth where contact is to be made, alveolar in the case of the. Because of this complete closure along the center, the only way for the air escape is along the side of the tongue. Jadi udara ketika mengatakan suara leh itu udaranya keluar lewat pinggir lidah, bukan center of the tongue. Long, hill, hill, ya itu di side of the tongue, not in the center of the tongue. The lateral approximant is therefore somewhat different from other approximant, in which there is usually much less contact between the articulators. If you make a long l sound, you may be able to feel that the sides of your tongue are pulled in and down, while the center is raised. But it's not easy to become consciously aware of this. What's more revealing, if you can do it, is to produce a long sequence of alternation between the and l without any intervening vowel. If you produce l, l without moving the middle of the tongue, you will be able to feel the movement of the sides of the tongue that is necessary for the production of a lateral. Jadi, suara leh ini, kalau misalkan kita coba bedakan dengan suara konsonan lainnya yang udaranya itu terfokus keluarnya lewat center of the tongue, maka kita bisa melatih menyuarakan leh, leh, gitu ya. Kalau itu udara keluar center of the tongue lewat pertengahan lidah. Kalau itu tidak. Itu udaranya keluar side of the tongue, di sisi-sisi lidahnya, not in the center of the tongue. Kita bisa merasakan the movement-nya, slide-nya dari tongue itself gitu ya. De, le, gitu ya. Itu beda ya. Pergerakannya bakal terasa kalau kita mau membedakan mana konsonan yang disuarakan lewat center of the tongue dan mana yang lateral approach. Nah, kemudian di sini we find initially, medial, and finally. Ini bisa juga disuarakan di awal, di tengah, dan juga di akhir. Tidak seperti yang tadi ya, yang hanya di initially dan juga medially. Di finally-nya itu enggak. Iya betul ya. Di ngehnya itu nggak pernah katanya, medially-nya itu sering. Di initially itu nggak pernah kalau suara ngeh itu. Sedangkan kalau untuk suara le ini dia di ketiga-tiganya ada. And its distribution is therefore not particularly limited. In British pronunciation, the consonant has one usual characteristic. The realization of le found before vowel sound quite different from that found in other contexts. For example, the realization of le in the word lay is quite different from that in the eel. Yeah, the sound in eel is what we call a dark L. Eel. Itu kita sebutnya dark le gitu ya. It has quietly rather similar to an u vowel with the back of the tongue raised. The phonetic symbol for the sound le, the sound in li is what is called clear li, ya, clear le, clear le. Jadi ada yang disebutnya dark le dan clear le. Kalau dark le, dia posisi suara lehnya itu ada di akhir atau finally. Sedangkan kalau yang clear leh itu dia ada di initially, di awal. It resembles an E vowel with the front of the tongue raised. We do not normally use a specific phonetic symbol different from le to indicate the sound. The dark le is also found when it precedes a consonant, as in eels, ya. Nah, dark le juga bisa terjadi kalau dia disatukan dengan konsonan yang lainnya atau disebut sebagai konsonan cluster ya. Seperti dari apa contoh kata eels gitu ya. We can therefore predict with which realization of le, clear or dark, will occur in a particular context. Clear le will never occur before consonant or before a pause ya. Jadi clearly itu tidak akan pernah bisa muncul sebelum konsonan yang lain atau sebelum pause ya, berhenti sejenak, but only before vowels. Tapi dia akan muncul sebelum vowels ya. Jadi bersuara seperti apa, leave ya, lehnya itu jelas. Tapi kalau yang di akhir seperti ills itu enggak ills gitu ya, ills gitu enggak, ills, ills, ills gitu ya. Dark le never occurs before vowel. We can say using terminology introduced in chapter 5 that clear le and dark le are all allophones of the phoneme le in complementary distribution. Most English speakers do not consciously know about the difference between clear and dark le, yet they are quick to detect the difference when they hear English speakers with different accent or when they hear foreign learners who have not learned the correct pronunciation. You might be able to observe that most American and lowland Scottish speakers use a dark L in all position and don't have a clear L in their pronunciation. Jadi katanya kalau American, most American dan juga Scottish itu mereka berbicaranya selalu menggunakan dark L katanya ya, tidak ada yang clear L di dalam pronunciation mereka. Makanya seperti yang menggumam ya kalau misalkan ada orang bule itu. Karena dia pakai aksennya Scottish atau American. While most Welsh and Irish speakers have clear le in all position. Sedangkan kalau untuk aksen Welsh ya dan juga Irish itu mempunyai clear le di semua posisi. Another allophone of le is found when it follows p, k at the beginning of a stressed syllable. The le is then devoiced, in other words, produced without the voicing found in most realization of this phoneme and pronounced as fricative. The situation is as explained in chapter 4, similar to the aspiration found when a vowel follows p, t, k in stressed syllables. The first part of the vowel is the voice. Jadi katanya kalau leh ini dia eh, dia bakalan muncul leh ini kalau di apa di follow oleh konsonan seperti b, ke gitu ya, at the beginning of stress syllable seperti apa ya, plain gitu ya, lehnya kan jelas, plain, um, clear, clear ya, ke leh, clear itu jelas dia ya, lehnya. Sedangkan kalau yang di akhir itu lehnya nggak jelas katanya gitu ya, eh, apa ya, seperti tadi contohnya itu di sini dark leh itu apa, eels ya, eels, eel, kemudian eh, nggak il gitu, nggak il, karena dia memang apa, unstressed ya karena di akhir. Kemudian ketika dia disatukan dengan konsonan yang lain, konsonan kelas eels, eels gitu ya, eels seperti itu. Oke, nah itu juga berpengaruh, aksen juga berpengaruh ya, karena katanya most American itu sama apa, sama Scottish itu selalu menggunakan L, dark L gitu ya. Sedangkan kalau untuk aksen dari apa, eh, aksen dari Welsh dan juga Irish itu semuanya pakai clear L, clear L. Oke, ini konsonan R, Y dan W. Oke, mungkin itu saja dulu ya untuk video penjelasan kali ini. Harap dipahami dulu. Nanti mungkin untuk kelas A Saya akan kasih video penjelasan yang lainnya eh untuk consonant r dan juga w dan y yang masih bicara mengenai nasal consonant. Okay, I think that's all for today. Thank you for your attention today, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.